Hello, everybody. I pray that y'all are doing good. I just wanted to get on and talk with y'all and do a little bit of a Bible study as well. But as many of you know that saw the video before I took it down, I was recovering from laryngitis. I just didn't feel like the video was relevant to anyone. I was just kind of talking about laryngitis and how I had a couple of mental attacks at the start of January. So I just took it down. But yeah, I just wanted to get on and talk with y'all because I'm doing a bit better. But I have been really rehashing a lot of what happened to me over the past, y'all, 16, 17 years. Many of you know spiritual warfare can last a very long time. The majority of the warfare has definitely been in the home. And many of you know I'm separated from my husband, so it definitely was throughout the marriage, but also in the workplace. So those were the two places where the warfare was absolutely intense. I was very ignorant of the enemy's devices. I didn't really know how to fight the battle. I was always just trying to fight in my own strength, but I didn't know that I needed the Lord, like truly, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And so the real enemy wasn't even my husband. Now, absolutely, there's free will there, but there's also demonic activity there as well. And so God was really just giving me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of what my husband was dealing with, but also what I was dealing with inside of the home spiritually as well, But I really didn't get an understanding of the full capacity of the demonic warfare and the generational curses I was up against until we actually separated. And so aside from all of that, y'all, thoughts were just kind of rehashing, of just the harsh betrayals. And it wasn't just my husband, it was other people too that came up against me. It was other people too that really did a number on me. They really did me wrong. And a lot of these people, I was good to them. I really cared for them. I wanted the best for them, but they didn't want the best for me. And so that really hurts when you love someone and you care about them and then they turn on you or they have ulterior motives. I was talking actually to a family member, and she was telling me how there was this friend that she had, and this particular friend, she just always felt like, let me see if I can remember what she was saying. She basically said this friend kind of gives her the ick. There's just something about this person that just didn't make her feel good when she's in the presence of this particular friend. And so I talked to her and I said, hey, I'll go to God and ask God to reveal the heart, reveal that person's heart, their motive, what is their intention in my life, etc. But she didn't want to do that. She was just like, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, that's the only way you're going to know, because there's a reason you feel like that when you're in the presence of that person. But be prepared. And I told her, when God reveals the heart, believe it. Why? Because out of the heart, the mouth speaks. I've done it before. And when I ask God to reveal the heart of someone, they cuss me up and down. Okay? Everything they felt about me, thought about me, it came out of their mouth because it was always in their heart. And so I encourage you to do the same if you really want to know the heart of anybody. You've been questioning that friendship. You're questioning whoever, right? Ask God, and He will reveal the heart. But be prepared and ask God to prepare your heart. Prepare your heart for what's in their heart, okay? Because had I not been prepared, it would have really felt like arrows to the heart. And I made a video about that too. Before I understood about guarding my heart, there were people in my life who were shooting those arrows, and it was the enemy using them, okay? But so what ended up happening is I told her to ask God, but she didn't want to do it. So of course God heard our conversation. God is with me. He's always here, and He's with her too. So what ends up happening over time, God just intervened. They were going to be talking on Zoom. God shut that Zoom down. He didn't even let her talk to her on Zoom. And they're friends, but like when they're not at each other's home, and now she has an iPhone, the friend doesn't, so what they'll do is they'll meet up on Zoom and, just talk. But God ended up shutting it down. And she had told me, she was like, all of a sudden, the Zoom just shut down and da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that sounds like God is intervening. So she still wanted to, hang on to it. And I was just telling her, it's time to close that door. I'm going somewhere here, y'all. I'm just kind of everywhere in the beginning. Y'all know me. And so she ends up still keeping that door open. So come to find out, this particular friend did not feel for her the way a friend should, right? So she's just really saying all these negative things about her. She's calling her names, and I mean, it just comes out of nowhere. And she said she could, you know how people sometimes will say, oh, they're just being sarcastic. You know, she kind of gave that off. But once she finally realized, like, this is not sarcasm, this is what's really in her heart. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Even though she tried to hold on to this friendship, it was very evident it was time to close that door. And so that's what ended up having to happen. And of course, I went into prayer, I went into warfare myself, and God completely shut that door. So aside from that, y'all, I was talking about betrayal. I had felt so betrayed. I was reliving what had happened to me years and years ago, and feeling like I wasn't getting any justice, feeling like God really wasn't dealing with my enemies in the way that I felt like they needed to be dealt with. Now, y'all know in prior videos, my heart wasn't right, y'all, towards my enemies, so much so that where God had to reveal to me that my heart was just like Jonah and how he felt about the people of Nineveh. Okay, so definitely check out that video. So I've come a long way. God has given me dreams with a couple of my enemies, and in those dreams I was being tested. How would you respond to them now? What would you do? And I believe I passed those tests. I didn't do anything negative like I did in prior dreams when God would test me and just reveal my own heart. You know, God is all about revealing our hearts because he wants to get us in alignment with him. He wants to clean us up from the inside out. And Jesus told me, work on the things that people can't see. Work on the things that people can't see. And a lot of you couldn't see that I was dealing with a lot of anger. I was dealing with gluttony. You know, I was dealing with pride. You know, I was dealing with a lot of different things. And I feel like God has really did a transformation in me through and through. I don't know, y'all. It's a recovery process, you know, because it's hard to trust people after you've been betrayed so much, after you've been hurt so much by people that you thought really loved and cared for you. And I'm sorry about the noise, y'all. Somebody's out there working on something, so hopefully y'all can still hear me. But I was talking to God and just telling him about everything I had gone through. And so I ended up opening up his word, because he led me to Habakkuk, basically about write the vision, make it plain, right? And I ended up y'all, I'm gonna have to do this video again because he's being too loud. I don't want to have to unless he shuts the tool down.